I'd like to welcome everybody to the Thursday, May 26th, 2022 Roanoke County School Board meeting. We've been in closed session. Mr. Ray, would you read us out of closed, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Roanoke County School Board come out of closed session for the following: to discuss ongoing personnel matters under investigation pursuant to personnel exemption at 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, and for consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members pertaining to actual or probable litigation, and consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
And
You also move to certify.
I'm in.
I also move to certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempt from open session requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the school board.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Greenway. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That reminds me, we did read Ms. Fashani into the meeting when we started at 5:15. She is here virtually with us tonight, couldn't be here, so for those that are
Via
wondering.
phone.
Pardon me?
Via phone.
Yes. All right. Item 2.03, action from closed session. We do have action from closed. I'd like to make a motion to uphold the superintendent's decision finding a violation of policy in the investigation report of case number 2021-2022, number 3.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Item number 3, again, welcome everybody. It's good to see so many smiling faces here in the crowd, another large crowd tonight. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to just have a moment of silence to think of all those in Uvalde, Texas, and the families and everybody that's hurting at the moment. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Item number 4, announcement of changes in the agenda. Fellow board members?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right, item number 5, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of consent agenda.
Second, Mr. Greenway. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right, item number 6, presentations and recognitions. Recognition of student artistic achievements. Ms. Sarah Cubberly, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. This evening, I would like to recognize a couple of students for their artistic achievements. First, I would like to recognize Karis DeRoth, a Glenver High School senior, now GHS alum. Karis's artwork entitled Luminescence was one of 3 pieces sent to the Virginia School Board Association Spring Forum, as each school division is only allowed to send 1 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school artwork. Karis won first place for the high school division of the Blue Ridge region, and her artwork is now posted on the VSBA website. Next year, Karis plans to attend Virginia Tech and study graphic design. I would also like to acknowledge Karis's art teacher, Mr. Stephen Graves.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next, I would like to recognize Hunter Muddyman, a William Byrd High School senior, now alum, who also studied at the Burton Center for Visual Arts. Each spring, a nationwide high school arts competition is sponsored by the members of the U.S. House of Representatives. Hunter's artwork was chosen as the winner of Virginia's 6th Congressional District by Congressman Ben Cline. Hunter's painting will hang in the Capitol building for 1 year and be featured on the House of Representatives website. Next year, Hunter plans to attend Savannah College of Art and Design to study illustration and painting. I would also like to acknowledge Hunter's art teacher, Miss Natalie Strom. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Item number 6.02, recognition of the 2021 Summit Awards from the Blue Ridge Chapter of Public Relations Society of America. Superintendent Nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm going to ask Chuck Lineberger to come up here front and center because this award is for Roanoke County Public Schools, but the truth is that this is all because of the work that Mr. Lineberger does. So I'm going to read what this is all about. Roanoke County Public Schools and the Education Foundation earned 8 Summit Awards for 2021 from the Blue Ridge Chapter of the Public Relations Society of America. In addition, the district earned 2 special awards, including the Best in Show and the 2021 Lower the Bus campaign in partnership with Roanoke City Public Schools, and the Lynn Schaaf Award for Creativity for the 2021 Backpack Run. The Summit Awards recognize the best in public relations in the Blue Ridge Chapter region, which is basically the western half of Virginia, and the awards are divided into 2 main divisions, campaigns and tactics. Organizations may submit a project or program for consideration in each division. Some categories have subcategories. The 2021 Summit Awards covers public relations activities from September 2020 to September 2021, and these awards were presented earlier in the year. So Roanoke County Public Schools and the Education Foundation earned the following awards in campaigns: a Gold Award for Community Partnerships, a Gold Award for Marketing Products or Services with the Backpack Run, a Gold Award for Public Relations Campaigns, which is our Return to School activities, and a Silver Award for Special Events for the Graduation Live 2021. I know Mr. Lineberger has worn himself out the last 2 days at 5 graduations with all he does for Graduation Live. If you've never seen that presentation on the website, it's quite phenomenal. And then also a Gold Award for Earned Media, and a Gold Award for Shared Media, and also a Gold Award for Video, a Silver Award for Writing, and also a Best in Show Award for the Load the Bus campaign. Also, a special award was the Lynn Schaaf Award for Creativity, and this was for the Backpack Run 2021 and the communication that involves around that. The board is no secret. Mr. Lineberger does so many good things. He's not only in charge of our public relations campaign, our public relations efforts, but also just so many of the technical things that happen for even school board meetings like this, to be able to broadcast them live, as well as things like Graduation Live and so many other events. Truly somebody that is indispensable in our school division, and just congratulations to Mr. Lineberger and thank him for all of his hard work. Good job.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
now who takes the picture? Wanda?
We got second and third string over here.
Sure, yes.
Somebody's closed their eyes.
It took two of them,
Some well-deserved awards there, Chuck. You work, I don't know when you sleep because I know there is a lot of work in everything you do, so congratulations. And thank you for everything you do for the county.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you do a fabulous job, Chuck, and to deal with us, and we're not speaking into the microphone, we're not loud enough, we're not where we're supposed to be. Even the kids going across the stage yesterday, they would stop for their diploma. I said, Chuck must have been up here putting an X down or something. There was one there. Thank you.
Or too loud, and he goes like this. Can we peck on it? No, but anyway, he's, the only thing I can say is, Chuck, we couldn't do it without you.
Thank you,
All
Chuck.
right. Item number 6.03, yes. Introduction of new administrators for the 2022-2023 school year. Mr. Jim Bradshaw.
You can tell I'm excited. I'm already here.
Yes.
So, thank you,
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Nicely. This is always an exciting evening. We can introduce new members of our administrative team. So I'd like to ask everybody to come up. We've got quite a large group this evening, and I will go through I'm going to have some of the principals go through parts so they can introduce their team as well. So first on the list, all the way in the back, is Mr. Todd Kegels. Todd is our new Director of Facilities and Operations for this coming school year. There's Todd in the back. Next we have, who's not able to be with us tonight, is Miss Dana Stevens. She will be the new principal at William Byrd Middle. Dana is currently the principal at Mount Pleasant. She's been there for the last 3 years, so we're excited to welcome her to William Byrd Middle. Then replacing there will be Miss Jill Lane. Ms. Jill Lane is actually the new principal, Mount Pleasant. She is currently principal in Roanoke City at Garden City. I knew I had it right on here, but then now you start reading it, I'm like, that doesn't look right. So we're very excited to have her join our team as well. The next principal I'd like to introduce you to is Miss Valerie Close. Valerie is currently the assistant principal at Green Valley, and she will be the principal at Mountain View Elementary School for this coming year. At this time, I'd like to have Mr. Johnson, wherever he is hiding, come up and introduce his new assistant principal, and then we'll go through the list from there.
Good evening, everyone. Members of the board, Dr. Nicely, I want to introduce you to Laura Zaboski. Laura is currently a first grade teacher at Green Valley Elementary School, and she will be moving over to be assistant principal with me at Glenmere Elementary next year. So we're excited to have her.
Fantastic.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely, it's my pleasure to introduce to you all Mrs. Heather Riganti. Mrs. Riganti is coming to us from Blacksburg High School, where she just finished up her last year as a social studies teacher, and she's going to be joining our administrative team in the athletic director / assistant principal role. Prior to teaching, she did serve in the U.S. Army, so thank you for your service. We're really excited to have her as part of our team, and we know she's just going to do a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
You gotta memorize this stuff.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. It is my pleasure to introduce two veteran Titans who will continue with us, but in different roles. Our first individual here, of course, is Miss Wagner. Miss Wagner has been a longtime Spanish teacher at Hidden Valley High School, also served as a longtime chair for the World Languages Department. She transitioned to the Dean of Students role this year, has done a fantastic job, and will be our new assistant principal for the coming school year. Miss Wagner. And then over here, we have our new Dean of Students, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Richardson comes to us with a diverse experience level. He's been a special education teacher. He's served as a social studies teacher and also as a social studies department chair. And we are so excited to have him as our Dean of Students.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. This is Leanna Rippey. Leanna is joining us from Botetourt. She is coming out of the English classroom, so I'm excited about that. She is well worth the wait. We have been waiting since November for her, so we have lots of things for her to get started on. So I'm excited to have her.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Nicely. We're very excited to introduce 3 new members of the instructional team. Of course, it's always a sad day when you lose folks off your team, but we feel like we've got some really quality folks that are going to really add to our team and really take us forward as we move into the next couple of years. So we'll start with Ms. Tammy Sauls. She's currently an administrator in another division. She's going to take over our science department and will be our science supervisor next year.
Welcome.
Thank you. Then we have Dr. Paula Newbill. She's a current Roanoke County employee. She teaches ELL at a few of our elementary schools. She's going to be our new supervisor of world languages and ELL. So glad to have you on the team. And then finally, we have Ms. Sarah Bayer, who is a teacher at one of our middle schools right now. She's going to be taking over our math department as our supervisor of mathematics. So that's the new members of our team. We're very excited to have them on board.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Nice, we do have another one that cannot be with us this evening. It's Alex Mikuluk. I mess that up every time. Can anybody help me with that? Was that correct? Mikuluk. I was close. She will be our new supervisor of special education. She's one back there with Ms. Harmon, and both of them this evening I think they're taking a class or something and not able to be here. So that is our new administrative team. We are very excited to have all of them join us. We have an outstanding team, and the folks you see in this room, I think are going to continue Roanoke County on a path that is just incredible. So we're very, very excited. A lot of hard work went into this, and we're really looking forward to having them join us. So with that, I don't know if you'd like a group picture or not, Chuck, with
Yes.
everybody. I figured you probably would. Yes. And I am dropping papers everywhere. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly
We saw a lot of big smiles on those faces. Let's hope they're smiling this time next year.
That's right.
All right. Item number 7, hearing of citizens and delegations. We have 3 speakers tonight, the first of which, Rachel Worster. Welcome, Ms. Worster.
Thanks. To the members of the board and Dr. Nicely, my name is Rachel Worster, and I'm currently a 7th grade teacher at Cave Spring Middle School. I'm here today to discuss teacher salaries. Roanoke County is lagging way behind our neighboring district when it comes to pay. Currently, next year, I will make $47,000 as a 5th-year teacher. If I went to Salem, I would make $52,000. In Roanoke City, I would make $53,000. Switching districts is a $6,000 instant raise, or 13% of my salary. It will take me 9 years more in Roanoke County to reach the salary that I could get this year in another district. And in the meantime, I will have lost out on $54,000 in earnings. This is a problem that needs to be fixed, and quickly, as I am not alone in noticing this pay disparity. On the recent school climate survey, the top 30 comments were almost entirely focused on the necessity of a raise for Roanoke County employees. We have already lost many teachers to other districts if they haven't decided to leave the field entirely. I understand that the board is trying to balance facility improvements with employee salaries. However, it doesn't matter how nice the new BCAP building is if we have lost the teachers that make the program what it is. It doesn't matter if we have new buses if we can't find people to drive them. It doesn't matter if we have new fields if we don't have coaches. It doesn't matter if we have new playgrounds if we don't have teachers. I applaud the board's original proposal of an 8% to 13% raise and hope that you will return to those options as soon as the state budget is passed. In addition, I would urge you to look at Roanoke City's raise structure as they prioritize staff and teachers and gave smaller raises to administrators who often already make six figures. Every dollar counts. By not acting, you are putting many teachers and their families into the position of choosing between their school community and their livelihoods. How are we going to attract new talent and retain the teachers we have when our pay lags far behind our neighboring districts? If you were a new teacher, would you take a job with Roanoke County that pays $42,000 or a job in the city that pays $48,000? Would you stay in a division when you see no commitment to raising pay on par with our neighboring divisions? That is a decision you are asking employees to make. I hope you will take this issue seriously. When teachers leave, they take their experience, training, and knowledge with them. It is ultimately our students who will pay the price. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Worster. Our next speaker, Michelle Brooks. Welcome back, Ms. Brooks.
Hi, I haven't been here in a while. I'm here to talk to you today about my son, Ferris, and his amazing first grade teacher at Penn Forest. Now, I know you're wondering where we got the name Ferris. Yes, it was from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris has definite sensory issues, ADHD, and he had a 504 in place this school year. His teacher went over and beyond what was required to help him learn and grow. Ferris is a very smart, creative child, but can be very strong-willed, be defiant, I don't know where he gets that from, and have emotional outbursts. If his teacher hadn't shown him the firmness, love, and patience that he desperately needed to succeed, would he have had such a successful school year? After 18 years of teaching, I've seen the teachers that go over and above the call of duty. How many teachers of this caliber do we have as teachers in Roanoke County schools? How many wonderful teachers that have impacted your kids, grandkids, neighbors' kids, even, you, for those who are listening, you as yourself, have decided to retire early, move on to another system, or leave teaching altogether due to the constantly changing job description of public education with little compensation to match the expectations given to us. I went through board docs and counted the number of teachers, just teachers, not as instructional assistants, not ITRTs, not bus drivers, or I already said instructional assistants, that have resigned or said that they would resign at the end of the year since January. I counted 78. This is not counting retirements. And I know some people I know personally have retired early because of the increasing demands on teaching and with little compensation for that. My understanding is that one school has over 10 teachers leaving and another has at least 15 teachers leaving, which hasn't happened in 30 years. That's what I've heard through the grapevine. As an employee of RCPS, we were given a survey to fill out about the culture and things that RCPS could do to improve working conditions. I read all the comments. I think there was over 1,000. Salary was the biggest complaint. To those people watching tonight who are employees or parents of students who have had those exceptional teachers, I ask you to contact your state senators and delegates to agree to a state budget. School systems in Virginia are the largest recipient of state funding, and all school systems have had to have that in place by April 1. You all know this. However, the General Assembly has been twiddling their thumbs with the livelihoods of public school employees, and ultimately the learning and growing of our children is at stake. With a state budget in place, the many employees who chose to stay in Roanoke County schools could possibly see a higher wage than what is currently being offered. For those of you that have pushed back against me and complained that the school board should have used the ESSER funds to give employees more monies, which our neighboring districts did, my counter is this: the money has already been allocated. We can't go back in time to change it, and we are here now, so we have to move forward. The school board was at a 5% raise for most employees and then decided to move to a 6% raise for all employees. We need to thank you for that. Okay? You guys do listen and are rather responsive. However, we know you cannot make money grow on trees. Okay? So at this point, the only way to move forward, in my opinion, is to have a state budget in place, people advocating for school systems at Board of Supervisors meetings, and being present and active at school board meetings. Complaining won't get you anything accomplished. We have to put forth the effort. We want to get the outcome we desire. Sorry I was long.
That's okay. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. And our final speaker, Ms. Martha Kilburn. Welcome.
Hello. Miss seeing you guys recently. Good evening, school board members. Once again, I want to shed light on a group of students that I love dearly. I think you can pretty much see part of them there. Those that might not be receiving awards or prizes that the schools give to inspire others. Please don't think I'm trying to take away from those students who get good grades, who excel at athletics. I'm not. What I'm trying to point out is that there is probably 50% or more students who aren't in that group. They aren't achieving those awards. They aren't receiving that recognition every 9 weeks. What are we doing to them? We have to find a way to recognize them. Every student does something well at some point. Everyone. I don't care if it's once a week, somebody just says, hey, you did a good job. We've got to find a way to give them their hurrah too. Otherwise, we're damaging their self-esteem. And we don't have enough counselors to help them. We don't. It's pretty sad to think that my children's future in school was decided within their first 20 minutes of life, because it was. They're never going to get perfect attendance. They're never going to get the AB honor roll. They're never going to get called on that stage. Pretty sad thing. My second thought, which you guys kind of brought up earlier today, was something that I had never heard of before last year. The statement cognitive closure. Something that a lot of our children don't get. Staff just moves around. They just leave. They go someplace else. Paras leave. They might just go to a different classroom. The counselor that's supposed to be supporting them goes to a different school. We saw lots of new employees here. That's fantastic, great for them. But nobody thinks about these kids. They didn't get a chance to say goodbye. All they know is that one statement they heard. If you don't do well, Sally's gonna leave and she's never gonna come back. And guess what? She didn't. That must be me. I did it. We need to think about what they are learning by our actions and help. My final thought, unfortunately, deals with the trauma that we all went through earlier this week with the deaths that occurred in Texas. Most years at the IEP meeting, I start with the question, what happens to my kids when there's a lockdown? What happens when we need to evacuate the building? I know you guys visit the schools. I know you look at things. But you have to look at things through the lens of the eyes that you have, which unfortunately are healthy children. Mine are not. I heard a horrifying statement the other day from a friend. The plan at her son's school several years ago was the kids that could not evacuate swiftly would be put in the corner, the door would be locked, and they would evacuate the other children and tell the professionals outside where they were and hope they survived. That wasn't here, wasn't in our state. I pray to God it's not true here. He can't walk fast. If he's on the second floor of a building, how is he getting out? His friend who has seizures, what are we doing when he has a grand mal seizure during the middle of that lockdown and nobody can get him his meds? Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kilburn. All right, action items. Item number 8.01, naming of the athletic field at Hidden Valley Middle School, Ralph Russo Field. Mr. Chris Benson. Welcome back.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely, my name is Chris Benson. I'm the principal of Hidden Valley Middle School. And as the Ralph Russo Committee shared with you all at the work session on May the 4th, we are proposing that one of our athletic fields be renamed after Ralph Russo, who is a beloved member of our Hidden Valley Middle School faculty, a beloved coach and mentor to many teachers in the building. We stand by a recommendation that the field be renamed. We do have Mrs. Russo in the crowd with us this evening, and we look forward to your action this evening and the outcome of that. But we can't think of a better way to honor Mr. Russo and his contributions to Hidden Valley Middle School. He was truly committed to all of the students in that building, all of the athletes that he coached while he was there. And even after he was officially a teacher, like we talked about at the work session, he continued to show up almost daily to Hidden Valley Middle School and support our students and our staff in any way that he could. So we stand by our recommendation and look forward to your decision.
Thank you.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Accept the.
Second.
Cheryl, did you hear that, Cheryl?
Yes, I did. I can't tell you how excited I am. I've known Mr. Russo for years, and he's near and dear to my heart. So I'm very excited this is going to happen. I applaud the people who had the forethought to go ahead and put this together and follow the procedure. So thank you.
I'm not sure if we had a formal second, but I will formally second Mr. Hudson's motion. Any comments?
The only comment I would like to say is I never met Mr. Russo, but the group that came in to the work session the other day gave a wonderful tribute to Mr. Russo. So he must have been a wonderful man, and to me, an example of what teachers and folks that want to leave legacies at their schools should be about. So I feel like I know him through the actions and words that were brought at the work session. So I couldn't support this more.
Thank you, Mr. Greenway. Yeah, I too, the people who came to the work session were very passionate about getting this done. There were some tears in the eyes of just remembering what Mr. Russo meant to those people, and it was very inspiring to see what a difference he truly made over there at Hidden Valley Middle School, and the effect he had on so many, not only student athletes, but the students throughout the school. So we're excited to be able to do this tonight. And any other comments, questions?
No, I echo like Mr. Greenway said. I wasn't fortunate to know Mr. Russo, but really appreciate the people that came out, and you could tell that they were genuine and all the impact that he made on those kids' lives. It's just an honor to be able to name this after him.
All right. With that, Madam Clerk, the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Item number 8.2, allocation of $43,000 from minor capital for the additional improvements to the William Byrd High School baseball field. Mr. Chris Lowe. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. At our May 4th work session, we discussed a proposal to improve the playing conditions and safety of the William Byrd High School baseball field for an amount of $43,000. So I'm here this evening to request an allocation of $43,000 from minor capital for the additional improvements to the William Byrd High School baseball field.
Mr. Chairman, certainly I'd like to make the motion to approve, but Mr. Ray is going to offer a substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had the opportunity, before I proceed further, we had the opportunity to, all the board members, to visit the schools and fields and, realize that there are several needs at these schools and the fields that some are really in tough shape. So we would like, would like to take this money from minor capital, which is a fund that we have that utilizes these type of things. And I think we would end up having still $730,000 into this minor capital fund. Right, Susan? If my calculations are correct. So, but I'd like to propose and amend the motion that's on the floor. Recommend to appropriate $50,000 to each high school in Roanoke County for field improvements from minor capital. This will replace the $43,000 as requested in the former motion with $50,000 for William Byrd and the other four remaining schools.
Would it be appropriate at this time to second it, or do we?
Second.
Discussion?
We will need a second.
All right, so I'll second.
Okay.
If there's any
I'll just say one thing. I'd like to thank Mr. Greenway publicly for bringing to our attention that we really needed to address some of these field issues. I was kind of appalled at some of the conditions that we had, and also just the failure upon the maintenance that we've seen from our contractors over the past year. And our fields have really suffered for it, and ultimately our kids have suffered for it, having to play on such terrible fields. And it's an embarrassment to our school district, and I'm happy to see that we're jump-starting this and going to start figuring out a plan as to how we can better move forward. So thank you, Mr. Greenway.
Mr. Ray?
And as along that line, one of the main things is safety for kids that are out there on these fields, or whether they're in PE or whatever it may be. It's having holes in the fields and some areas where they'll twist their knee or twist their ankle. So hopefully we can get these in better shape for all of our students.
Ms. Fashani, any comments?
I'll just echo what everybody else said. I'm in complete agreement. When we toured those fields, I was really disappointed to see how the shape that they were in, and I'm just glad that we've got a plan moving forward. I'm happy that we're all working together and have a common goal to improve our facilities. Our kids deserve it. Our county deserves it, and safety is the utmost paramount here. And when safety is an issue, we need to take it very seriously, and I think we are. So thank you all for working together.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank Mr. Ray for organizing. We all spent about 7 hours last week going around to the 5 different high schools, taking a look at the fields that are out there, and there is no question there is some work needed on those fields. It concerns me a little bit that we're going to spend down our minor capital to that extent, not knowing what may come ahead. We could very well have some safety and security type issues after what happened yesterday, 2 days ago now, I guess. We could have some safety and security issues that I hope we're able to fund by taking $250,000 out of minor capital. I personally didn't see the need at the field over there at William Byrd for that. We had $10,000 allocated still to fix the problem. We didn't we didn't complete that project, so it's hard to say exactly whether or not that would have solved that problem. But there is definitely some work needed at these other fields. So with that, I will call the roll on the substitute motion. Madam Clerk.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Item number 9, information agenda. Recommended policy revisions, Dr. Stegall.
Good
Welcome.
evening. As Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely, several times each year, the staff conducts a review of current policy and administrative regulations. When we're looking at those, we are looking for improvements in clarity in language, change in practice, change in state code, recommendations from staff, and recommendations from the Virginia School Boards Association. For the recommended changes that you have before you, there are 3 copies for each policy. There is a summary copy that tells you the details about the reason for the change. There is an edited copy, and then there is a final copy. So as you're reviewing those policies, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I would be happy to assist you with those. Any questions right now?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ray.
Dr. Stegall, thank you. I know in last year, I think I found a spelling error.
You did. Thank you for
But
that.
I didn't see any spelling errors. But thank you for having us over. This was more vast policy changes than we've probably ever done, because we looked at everything. So, it took time. To go through your files, but it's worthwhile. And thank you for all the work that you put in to make this happen.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Only a couple policies.
That's right. Well, I just got some more.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dr. Stegall. Item number 10, report by superintendent, Dr. Nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to share briefly how pleased we were to spend the last 2 days, with the culmination of our school year. This is really what it's all about. I want to thank all of our school board members for being in attendance at our graduation ceremonies for Cave Spring, Glenver, and Hidden Valley, Northside, and William Byrd. You were all represented there, and we shook a lot of hands, and it was just time well spent. It's always an honor to shake the hands and congratulate those who have achieved that milestone. And of course, they couldn't do that without the supports of families to see them along the way, and of course, all of our teachers and staff who have made that happen. And it starts in early days from preschool to kindergarten all the way through high school. So yesterday was our last day of school for the school year. And so I want to give a shout out and thanks to all of our teachers and all of our staff who worked tirelessly throughout the year to help us get to a successful completion, and wish everybody a great summer break.
Thank you. And item number 11, reports and inquiries of board members. We'll start down on that end tonight. Mr. Ray?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Graduation was wonderful. We were back in the Civic Center, able to be together, able to shake hands. We shook 218 hands, I believe it was, from students from Cave Spring. And, I don't cheat, but I look on the screen to see their name and see where they're going to school, or if they're going to go in the workforce. So I'll have a little something to say as they go through. Well, Dr. Nicely looked around at me and said, "Where are you getting this stuff?" Right there on the screen. So I go Hokies, or go Dukes, or go Cavaliers, or, or if you're going into the workforce, very good luck. And, if it was able to have a little personal thing with them. And so they really seemed to enjoy it, and they're surprised. I would even say we brought a real fan club today, because some people were louder than others, for their student, and certainly, but it was so much fun. It was so different than what we've had, and being able to have a graduation in person and being able to have everybody there. So it was really great. We were able to, I was at Clearbrook, one of my elementary schools, and they had invited me for it's a takeover day, and that's where the students take over the school. Now, there's administration still there. Don't worry. But the kids do things with fundraising and different things to be able to, be the principal for the day, be the secretary for the day, and so forth, and teacher for the day. So it was really a lot of fun. They had a lot of outdoor activities, and I think, Mr. Hudson, because of his department being there, had two of the folks there that were outside all the time. And I know security is so important, but to see those gentlemen there, it was very comforting. So pass that along to Sheriff Orange, if you will, please. But anyway, it's such a neat thing that they do. They bring the seniors over that used to go to Clearbrook, or any of their friends that they want to bring. And they went over and they took them in the auditorium, and I got to speak to them for 1 minute. That's all I got. And
It's impossible.
I knew that was coming. But they were in there laughing because they had slides of when they were in the fifth grade. And to see the difference 7 years later and be able to see them and see the pictures of what they did and what they looked like when they were in fifth grade, they were just having the best time. And so it really was a neat thing, a good experience. And I thoroughly enjoyed. They were in their cap and gowns, by the way. And they were brought over by the school bus. And it was really a neat thing for them to do. The governor's budget supposedly, have $50 million for security. Now, how far does that go? We don't know, but we're very fortunate to have a law enforcement officer on our board, and he has given us a preliminary plan that he has developed, a very good, thorough plan. So we're going to look at these for security for the future. Security is our most important thing. If your safety of your kids to come to school and get home safe, that's the ultimate thing. Yes, we teach. Our job is to teach the kids. That's what we do. But our job is to keep them safe. And parents, entrust us to take care of your kids when they're at school. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is not, that is very, I could say a lot of adjectives, but I cannot say it probably here on TV. But it's so unfortunate that we have this, whether it be, mental illness, whether it be something, other issues that need to be addressed. But we need to, we have a very good situation and plan that we could go forward with. And I think that we keep all our doors locked. You have to come in one door. You have a screening. So that doesn't mean that somebody can't get in. It just means that we do have safety measures in place, and we certainly are going to continue. And I appreciate Mr. Hudson for his thoughts that he's beginning to present to us. And we'll talk about this in a work session, and we'll look at some of the options and some of the things that we can do. But anyway, was that 1 minute?
Yeah.
Mr. Greenway? I will certainly everyone have a wonderful summer, and we certainly look forward to seeing you back next fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Hudson.
Hold on a second. You demoted me? I wasn't ready.
I don't mind going. It's fine.
Yeah, well, it was an honor to be at our graduation yesterday. And first, I'd like to say congratulations to our graduates, but also thank you to our staff here from our central office, as well as our staff in our schools that work every day to ensure our kids are getting the best education possible. They're in the trenches, and we can't forget about them. They're the ones who are dealing with things firsthand, as we know. It's more sometimes than just sitting in a classroom and teaching. We have a lot of different things now, and I believe one teacher out here made the statement that the job description continually changes and things are continually added, and I can see that, especially over the last few years. So I appreciate everything that they have done. On that note, pay was discussed, and I am happy and proud that this board decided to give an additional 1% raise this year and also make it to where our 30-year employees didn't cap out and not get the same raises other people. So I think moving forward, that's a great thing, and hopefully we will continue to be able to do that and get our pay where it needs to be, because I do see that there's just no reason why these neighboring districts are paying 15% more. We do have to do better with that. And we want to keep our good people. I believe that young lady also stated that when our staff leave, experience goes with them. And we can't keep affording to lose that. So I think we do need to try to make a difference in that, because if you're coming to work every day, pouring your heart out, and then worrying about having enough money for your gas tank or the food on your table to feed your family, that's a problem. So, times are tough right now, and I know this board will move forward in a positive direction in getting our pay where it needs to be. And for this nice lady right here, you made some comments that really resonate with me. I attended the Little Feet meet. My youngest child competed in the Little Feet meet, and I think that's a great representation of some of the things you're talking about. Is he's never going to win a race on the track. He's never going to be able to compete in track. And that goes in all different directions, whether it be sports or academics and other things. And each child is special, and I love my little boy. And on branching off from that, dropping our kids off every day at school and kissing them on the head and telling them you love them, and we got to do everything we can to keep them safe. And I will say that we have great people doing that every day. And one is standing in the back there. If you don't know him, that's Daniel Ayers. He works for the Roanoke County Police Department. He actually took over Glenver High School and Middle School when I was promoted in 2015 when Sheriff Orange was elected. And I will give my boss a shout out on this. He is huge on school safety. And he basically tasked us with cutting the fat in the department, trying to figure out, what staff we could actually basically trim the fat and free up some manpower. And that's what he did. That's what we come up with. And we currently use 2 full-time SROs at no cost to the schools in our elementary schools. As you know, we have 16 elementary schools, so that stretches these guys thin. So we also use our civil process deputies and supervisors, and we've extended this to our courthouse when we have light court days, as well as our jail. So we're doing everything we can now, and I look forward to doing a lot of research on this and figuring out what we can do to come together as a board, as well as with other agencies, to really boost up our security. I'm happy that we were able to jumpstart our fields, and again, thank you, Mr. Greenway, for bringing that to our attention. Running 27 buildings and 2,000 employees, you can't keep up with everything at all times, and it's nice when somebody brings it to your attention. So glad we got that fixed, and I hope we can figure out a way to maintain our fields better moving forward. And I know that our employees took a climate survey, Dr. Nicely, so I would like to see the results of that when you have them available. And again, happy summer, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here, and look forward to next year.
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, sir. So, a couple things. I hate the word "trim the fat." That scares me when y'all start talking like that. And then you got good cop, real cop, and I'll be the bad cop in some of my comments. Graduation, it was. I'm going to get that out of the way because that was a culmination of the year. And every year I say this, and it truly is. We have differences. We have differences with staff, and we try to make everything. But the differences are to make things better. It's not arguing for argument's sake or discussion for discussion's sake. But then at the end of the year, when we have graduation, it's like you just take a deep breath, and it's a wonderful opportunity to realize, at least you hope that you've made a difference. And I enjoy working with you and you guys, and I enjoy working with staff and Cheryl as well, if she can hear us. And so it's, that just is the culmination of thinking, wow, it was worth it. All the discussions and all the extra hours, and I know each of you put in time, and whoever calls this a part-time position is wrong. So we put in a lot of time, a lot of conversations and so forth. So thank you to everyone that made graduation possible. A lot of discussions with staff and administrative. Chuck for getting the production off, and Angela and Edie who take care of us all year. It's just good to get that past us. Mr. Kegels, we are certainly disappointed to see you leaving middle school, as we spoke yesterday. Middle schools are tough by nature. I hated middle school. I think a lot of kids hate middle school. And yet, we have to have staff and administration that deal with those kids when they're going through all these changes and growing up and becoming adults and, young adults. And but you've done an amazing job at Williamsburg Middle. We appreciate you. And I know you'll do well as you move forward in the new position. Dana Stevens, who's coming on, wonderful person as well. We look forward to having her. She's a wonderful administrator, and hopefully we can make some calls and say, Mr. Kegels, how do we navigate this, or where do we go with this or that? And so, you're not going anywhere, but we're going to lose you at that school, and as you, Mr. Hudson said, that's a lot of experience. So we appreciate everything you've done for the Vinton community, and will continue to do and be a part of. So thank you. Now let's get to a few things that I think, and I'm trying not to be Mike Ray tonight with my length, but these need to be discussed. The first thing I'll go to is the BCAT. The article that came out, thank you. I thought that was tastefully done, well done, and captured the sentiment. We are moving forward. Our last conversation with the joint board was the first time I'd heard from any of those members. Two of them said, if you go back and listen, we're excited for BCAT to happen. We're excited that we're moving this forward now that we've got the Citizens Committee and so forth. The one thing I want the board to know, the Board of Supervisors to know, when we discuss this, it always revolves around, we have to have funding. We have to have funding, right? Why it takes 7 months or 8 months for us to have joint meetings between the two boards to get the funding in place. We have an idea of what we're going to spend, what it will cost. I know we need to listen to the Citizens Committee, and it takes them a little bit of time. We've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, trying to develop, we went through the study, which told us that our BCAT does great. We've got most of the programs in place. Some programs they didn't even know about were in place or are there. We went through trying to get joint meetings to push this forward. Again, this is going to be a 7-month process between those joint meetings. And so when I hear Mr. North say yesterday, we're working on funding, we're waiting to see what the state's going to provide, if they're going to provide, and we need to tap into this. And, there's some other funds that we need to think about and tap into. At some point, we've got to take the approach that we're going to get this done. We're not going to continue to look for the carrot down the road. If we have state funds available, that's awesome. That would be wonderful. We welcome those. We went through the 1% that we were going to do on the sales tax. Well, they couldn't get any buy-in from our area legislators, so that's by the wayside. We just got to, and I don't care who gets credit for coming up with a funding stream on their side. It's got to come from the board over there. I don't care who gets credit for it. It seems like there's a little bit of, because Jason Peters came up with that plan. I'm glad he got the conversation started. And I would just say, get the funding in place. Let's figure it out, and let's be ready when this group comes back to us with, and hopefully we get the land in place. All that kind of comes together. But let's be ready. Let's not say in September, October 23, well, we're going to have to wait till 25. 24 is just not going to happen. We've already said we were going to start in 23. Now there's no way that can happen. We're going to do 24 now. I'm waiting for us to say 25. Let's get started. So I heard Mr. North's comments, and I just want to say it's time to come up with a funding stream and a plan. Last thing, Mr. Hudson touched on, and we've been passing back and forth some ideas and whatnot, and I thank you for those. That Texas deal sticks in your heart, and whether you're right, left, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. We need to fix it. We need to fix it now. And one of the ways that I think we can do that is with resource officers in all schools. Doesn't mean that's going to stop one of these deals. But if we save one child, it's worth it. So, if it slows them down, whatever the deterrent is, all deterrents we ought to put on the table. Never want to look at a parent and say, well, we could have, but we didn't have the funding and we weren't going to push hard for it. So again, this is my night, I guess, for the Board of Supervisors. This is a public safety issue. We don't fund police officers. We don't fund sheriff's officers. Sheriff Orange and Mr. Hudson, who's advised us, have come up with an awesome idea. We're going to try and tap into that, but we may need Board of Supervisor funds, some additional funds outside the revenue sharing. Quit trying to squeeze that as far as we can go. Outside the revenue sharing, we might need a little additional funds for public safety to get this done. And I realize it's hard to hire people. Mr. Hudson, he's made us aware of that. We get that's a difficult thing, but tapping into some of the retired folks that he's offered and the plan, thank you for doing that. I think, I hope our police officer, police chief will come to the table and we figure out a way to get this done. Again, it's probably, we hope it's like taking out the trash and you hate to do it. You hate to spend for it, or insurance, you spend for it. You hate to do it and you hardly ever use it. But you know what? If we ever do use it, well spent, right? And so we got to get that done one way or another. And we said this 3 or 4 years ago. I want resource officers in the schools. Even if it's we can use them for various things, but it's got to get done. It's at least a deterrent, if nothing else. And I'm willing to waste that money, if you want to call it wasting, because, I heard last time that it typically doesn't happen in elementary schools. I don't care where it typically happens. We don't want it to ever happen. So this is just a deterrent, and we need to access it. So as the other said, happy summer. Sorry to lay some heavy thoughts on you, but I hope people listen, and I hope we get behind BCAT, and I hope we get behind these resource officers and get these things moving.
Thank you, Mr. Greenway. Ms. Fashani.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. You hear me, David?
Yes. And the audience can hear you, correct? Yep.
Okay. So, thank you all for your patience tonight. I don't mind telling you, but I'm in Christiansburg at a Hidden Valley High School boys tennis playoffs, and I'll give you a quick update. So far, we are tied. So the first singles went well, and unfortunately, we've dropped a couple. So now we're tied 3-3. We got a couple more matches left to go, and hopefully we'll pull it out. But anyway, it was an honor and a privilege to be at this year's graduation. I enjoyed shaking the hands of every student, and I thoroughly enjoyed shaking my son's hand and giving him a big, big hug. I had to laugh when Mike said that he was looking up at the screen, because Mike, I cheated also. I caught on that there was a screen with kids' names on it. I looked at the screen, and I was able to personally congratulate all the graduates, or at least most of them once I figured it out, with their names. And I think they're pretty shocked, like, wow, you know all of these students. I do quite a few, but not all. I want to personally thank Mr. Whitlow for honoring Gavin Dent. We tragically lost a student in the fall. I knew Gavin well. He was a part of my type 1 diabetes family. In fact, I delivered a bag of hope to his door when I found out that he was diagnosed, and helped their family through that. And tragically, losing him was a loss to our community. I know his parents deeply appreciated the honorary degree. I thought Mr. Whitlow did a great job in putting some steps in place so that we could do that. And just want to say that Gavin was an amazing young man. He lived life to the fullest, and he really changed the world, making it a better place. And he left his mark, and he will be remembered with a smile. So thank you, Josh, for doing that. More tragedy. I know the tragedy in Texas, a few of you have commented on it, wears on all of our hearts. Safety in our schools is paramount. I have great faith in our school board, and I think we are truly blessed to have Brent Hudson on our school board, because his knowledge and expertise and experience will help get us there. So thanks, Brent. Let's see, I want to thank the teachers and the staff who came up with a plan to honor Mr. Russo. Mr. Russo was a smiling fixture at Hidden Valley Middle School, and he really touched so many lives, and he really does deserve to be honored and remembered. I also want to thank my board, all of you for continuing to come together and forging a path to make our schools better, whether it be with teacher salaries or staff raises, school policy changes, making our fields safer and better, or of course moving forward with BCAT. I do feel we are on the right path, and I'm confident that we will get there. Not to belabor, but I do want to thank all the teachers and the staff. It was a great year. We started off shaky. I know there was a lot of hesitation and anxiety with having to deal with all the COVID restrictions. But I think in the end, we made this year an academic success. And it was really because of all the teachers and the staff. They worked hard. It was not easy, I know, and it was their determination and grit that got us to where we are. So thank you to all the teachers and the staff for really going the extra mile for all of our Roanoke County public school students. And happy summer. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Fashani. All right. It's been a couple, 2 busy weeks for us. Last Tuesday, a little over a week ago, we were able to have a retirement banquet over at the Holiday Inn Tanglewood. It was so nice to be able to honor those retirees the way we've done it in the past. We had to take a couple of years off because of the pandemic, but to see all those retirees and the number of years of service and to be able to honor them in that way, I want to thank Angela for putting that event together. It was very special to be able to recognize those teachers who have given so much to Roanoke County schools over the years. And the longest one was at 45 years of service to Roanoke County. So,
Mr. Lennon, I want to say that 45 at the retirement banquet, but we actually had one with 50 years, and that's Sue Bostic down the hall, one of our gifted teachers. So she's actually a 50-year retiree, but just wasn't able to go to the dinner.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, the longevity of many of those people at that event was amazing, and just knowing the impact that they had on so many of our students' lives. So, last Friday night we had our student apprenticeship event over at the Salem Red Sox game, and wanted to thank Jason and Mark for their work in putting that together. It was so nice to see all those students who are going to be doing some apprenticeships for businesses here in town. It really is a regional approach at this point, where it's a joint venture with both Roanoke City and the city of Salem. So hopefully that will help drive some more students to get into that. I think we had more apprenticeships available than they were able to find students to take. So the number of companies that have been involved keeps growing, thanks to Mark and Jason's hard work, and look forward to that continuing. So. Graduation yesterday was also very rewarding to see. Both I went to both the William Byrd and the Northside graduations, and the class of 2022 went through so much. Their sophomore years were interrupted, and that's a difficult time. And their junior years were 2 days a week in school, and a lot of them made comments about that they persevered though. They came through and really persevered, and I'd like to thank Chuck for everything you did with that online. I know those efforts do not go unnoticed, and for those parents that couldn't be in attendance, is what you do for that is very nice. So 4 years ago, we sat here about this time and had people with posters saying we needed more resource officers in the schools. We had large crowds coming and telling us we needed to find more resource officers. And about 2 years ago, we were told that resource officers, we got emails and letters, and there was resource officers didn't belong in schools because they were considered racist, or they were. And law enforcement, I have the utmost respect for law enforcement. Obviously, we will see another call for resource officers back in schools after this week. And I know Sheriff Orange and Chief Hall have good plans in place. They can be better. And I'm confident that with Mr. Hudson's expertise, we will do all we can to keep our schools safe. We'll develop a plan. We're going to start with that at our June work session, trying to develop a plan on what we can do better. We can always do something a little bit better, and hopefully avoid a situation like they had down there. So just Mr. Greenway's comments about funding of BCAT, I am confident that the Board of Supervisors is going to find a way for us. We need to understand the scope of that project before we can to determine the amount of funding, but it will be, once we get the scope of the project together, we'll get that funding in place. I'm confident that in the relationship that we've been able to develop with the Board of Supervisors, and it probably will be 24, but it's coming. So, and it will be something that this community will be proud of, and it's a once in a generation opportunity for us to do BCAT right, and I'm confident that we'll get it right. So,
We're taking a generation to do it, too. So that's great.
with that, meeting adjourned.